Good morning. This is Tommy Stone and Blake Hayes. We're here for Wednesday's edition of His Life. And Steve is not with us today, but he's with us in spirit. And I hope that you are enjoying this week and are planning on, at least in your own household, taking time to be thankful for what God has done in our lives. Maybe it's a challenge, more of a challenge this time around to focus on those things that we ought to be thankful for with so much negative going on. But we hope that you're able to do that tomorrow and throughout the weekend. Blake and I are looking today at the trials of Jesus, the Jewish trials that he faced in the wee hours of that horrible day when he ends up on the cross. And the Roman trials as well. A very quick process that was full of injustice, for sure. And our devotional writer today kind of opens up by talking about an example of injustice and how the court systems are used to prosecute people who were innocent to get a certain result. And Jesus certainly suffered through that as well. I want to just, the devotional's good, and takes us to several different passages about Jesus and this process and what he could have done. But I wanted to take a second or two just to talk about some of the, Blake and I, some of the things about these trials that were just not right. They were improper, so Jesus certainly goes to the cross and gives his life as an innocent lamb sacrificed for the sins of mankind. But along the way, a lot of laws were broken, especially by the Jewish Sanhedrin, to get their desired result, which was the death of Jesus. Blake, one of those things was that the charges kind of changed. They shifted a little bit. They came to the Sanhedrin, the full group, and said that this man was guilty of blasphemy because of his claims about relationship to God. They didn't go through the process right, but they charged him with blasphemy. But they knew that they didn't have any power to kill Jesus because the Romans were in charge. So when they approached the Romans, they changed the charge from blasphemy to treason. And that's something that you weren't supposed to be able to do in the Jewish court system. So that was wrong. Can you think of something else, maybe, Blake, that went on that night that was just wrong?
Yeah, we have the trials taking place at nighttime. Not supposed to happen. That was a big no-no, but we have that going on as well, and just kind of shows the hastiness of all the trials. They knew that they needed to kill Jesus soon. They needed to get rid of him as soon as possible. So they weren't too worried about going in at night just to try to get it done.
Yeah, and just doing it at night in darkness certainly kind of is shady, for sure. Anything else you can think of?
Yeah, we got in John 18, he's before Caiaphas, if I can find it. And he's talking about, he says in verse 21 of 18, "Why do you ask me? Ask those who have heard about me and what I said to them. They know what I said." So Jesus is pointing out to, and then he gets slapped in the face by one of the officers standing by, because Jesus is calling him out for not having a witness. He's like, "You're making me talk about or just questioning me to myself. Like, where's the witness at?" And then they're like, "Oh, no."
And absolutely, and then slap him, and Jesus even calls out. He said, "Why are you hitting me? Why are you slapping me?" He knew this was wrong for them to lash out that way. In fact, not only did they not have credible witnesses, they brought in false ones just to say what it is they needed to be said. So Jesus not getting a chance to really defend himself. And then he didn't have anybody to stand with him. And in the Jewish court system, you were allowed to have a defense attorney, somebody who could stand there for you and make a case, and an advocate. And Jesus wasn't allowed that kind of a thing at all. So that's kind of crazy. Part of the reason why the trial was not supposed to be held at night is so that people could be rested and make the best decisions. You weren't supposed to decide a verdict immediately after hearing charges and hearing testimony. You're supposed to take a day or two to sleep on it, think about it, and then come back and hear more testimony and then make a decision. And then Jesus was declared guilty without being proven guilty, as you read the account of these trials. So those are just a few of the things that really were illegal, not just kind of a rush to judgment, but illegal,
Yeah,
breaking their own laws.
yeah, and not was it that he just wasn't proven guilty. He was also proven innocent by Pilate. Pilate multiple times was like, I don't know what you want me to to crucify him for. But then
Right.
again,
I find no basis to charge this man.
yeah. But then again, you get the Jewish crowds who kind of appeal to Pilate's weakness a little bit, but still, just the hastiness and the I can't even find the right word. Just the willingness to do everything they could to get Jesus.
And you pointed out just now, when it came to the Romans, they didn't know what to do with any of this because they were trying to do it the right way and didn't see any charges. And then they caved to the political pressure, which is wrong for sure. Just to make the Jews happy, they got rid of this guy that the Jews wanted to get rid of. So pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. What are a few of the lessons that you see here, Blake? Maybe something that you see either in Jesus or something from this particular part of the story.
Yeah, just even though Jesus does rightfully point out some of the stuff that they're doing wrong multiple times, and because he gets transferred even in this short amount of time to so many different places, and a lot of those stories you get things like they were beating him, they were torturing him, they were talking all kinds of evil against him, yet he didn't open his mouth, right? Just the patience and yeah, just the patience in the midst of that suffering.
Yeah, absolutely. The self-control. The verse was mentioned there. Do you think I cannot appeal to my Father? He will at once send me more than 12 legions of angels. And here's one guy smacking me in the face, and I could snap my fingers, and this is all over with. What Satan was trying to tempt him with in the wilderness 3 years or so earlier is something that he's probably still in his mind. He could reign and rule over any of these people at any time by exerting his power. But he gives up his power. Gives up his power, his right to rule. Why does he do it? Why does he do it, Blake?
You have in the book of John, it constantly points to Jesus saying something will happen. He's close to death. Like people near him, they want to stone him, and then it's like Jesus vanishes in the midst of them. And the reason why is because his hour hasn't come. Right. The writer of John wants you to know that Jesus is in control of when he goes to the cross and what happens in that situation. And so I feel like that's a little bit a part of it. And then too, he knows if he reacts in any certain way in the midst of all this opposition, then maybe they kill him right then on the spot or something like that. He kind of lets all this come on him and without retaliating, just because he knows that this is the path that has to be taken.
Yeah. In fact, he says in John that no one takes my life from me; I lay it down. In other words, I could do something about all this. There's no way they could crucify me, except that it's God's will that this take place, and so I'm going to submit. I'm going to submit to God's plan.
Yeah.
So,
Which has just
uh,
always struck me as insane because I'll I'll be driving down the road and somebody cuts me off and I want to run them off the road immediately. Uh,
absolutely,
just
just the reaction, yeah, gut reaction.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
jamming to like Disney, so I should be happy, but but
there you
no,
go.
surrounded by all this hatred and it's almost as if you can just see it in the eyes if you're reading the story, like you can just see in the eyes of all the people around Jesus the hatred they have, and yet to Jesus, you just see complete control and willingness to lay down his life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you mentioned the mission. He was focused on the mission, and the mission was to give his life even for these people who were doing all this to him. Uh, Before we pray here and we're done today, I just want to mention too that if anybody faces injustice, um, unfair treatment, if people even go so far as to break the law, and we suffer, then we have an advocate. We have somebody who understands what that's like, more than um, more than all the people that are in prison and jail could understand. And that's Jesus. He's been through that kind of unfair treatment, when all he was trying to do was to share God's love for people. So pretty powerful stuff. Um, as usual, we want to pray that you are doing well at home right now with the virus on the uptick, that you're taking every precaution you can, using common sense. We hope that that's happening. And um, so we're going to pray now, and Blake's going to lead us. If there are any other requests that you have, please let us know about them so we can pray along with you. Blake, pray us out of here today.
Will do. Dear God, we come before you right now, just thankful for today, thankful for a day to be able to dive into your word and learn more about what your son did for us. And we know that um, the events surrounding his death were full of hatred and full of anger, but we're so thankful and so grateful for the patience and love that was shown, even in the midst of that, by you. And may we be able to replicate that in our lives as best as possible to show control and love in the midst of anger and injustice. And we just ask you'd be with us throughout this week and Thanksgiving coming up. We know a lot of families aren't going to be able to have Thanksgiving as normal. We just ask you'd be with them, give those families comfort and love and peace during this time, even in the midst of chaos. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Perfect.
Hope you have a great celebration.
Yep. Bye.